Welcome to POPZARI family, where fun and magic come alive. New videos and shorts every day. Let's laugh, learn, and play. Hey!
The King's Secret Test. Everyone wanted gold, but only one man passed. As you saw in the previous parts of the King's Secret Test, King Andrew and his wise advisor Samuel tested the people of Greenwood Valley by inviting them to a magical garden. Although everyone claimed they were happy, most abandoned fresh fruit to fill their backpacks with glowing treasures. Only Daniel chose simple fruits for his family. Their greed soon led them to a raging river with no bridge, where they faced the greatest choice of their lives. Now let's continue with Part B of the King's Secret Test. The roaring river grew louder with every passing second. The water rushed so fast that it splashed against the rocks like thousands of tiny drums. Everyone looked at the king on the other side, then back at their heavy backpacks. They had come so far to collect the treasure. Now it seemed they might lose it all. One strong man tied his backpack to his shoulders with a rope. "I've got this!" he shouted proudly. He stepped into the river. The current pulled him sideways so quickly that he spun around like a washing machine. His hat floated away, his boots filled with water, and he hurried back to shore, dripping from head to toe. The crowd couldn't help laughing. A little girl pointed at him and giggled. Even the river said, "Not today." Even King Andrew smiled. Another woman had a different idea. "I'll throw my backpack across." She swung the heavy bag with all her strength. Instead of flying across the river, it slipped from her hands, landed with a huge splash, and disappeared beneath the rushing water. Everyone gasped. The woman stood frozen. Then she sighed and laughed at herself. "I guess the fish are rich now." Even Samuel chuckled. Soon everyone started trying different ideas. Some searched for a hidden bridge, some looked for stepping stones, a few even tried stacking logs together. One funny old man proudly climbed onto a floating log and yelled, "Look, I'm a river captain." 2 seconds later, the log rolled over, and he landed in the water with another giant splash. When he climbed out, he grinned and said, "Well, that voyage was shorter than I expected." The crowd burst into laughter again. After a long time, the laughter slowly faded. Everyone became quiet. No matter what they tried, there was only one truth. The backpacks were simply too heavy. If they wanted to cross safely, they had to leave the treasure behind. Some people looked at their golden apples with tears in their eyes. Others hugged their backpacks as if saying goodbye to an old friend. Then Daniel calmly walked to the edge of the river. Without saying a word, he placed his backpack under a shady tree. He smiled softly. "I'll always remember the wonderful walk through the king's beautiful garden," he said. "My daughter would have loved these sweet fruits, but she'll be much happier if her dad comes home safely." Then he stepped into the water. A few moments later, he reached the other side safely. Everyone stared at Daniel. "He didn't even hesitate," whispered one farmer. A little boy looked at his father. "Dad, if he can do it, maybe we can too." Slowly, one family after another made the difficult choice. Some cried, some complained, some looked back one last time before placing their backpacks on the riverbank. Then they crossed the river together. Soon every single bag of treasure had been left behind. As the last person climbed onto the opposite bank, something unbelievable happened. A loud rumble echoed across the valley. Everyone turned around. The river was disappearing. The rushing water became slower, then slower, until it completely vanished. Where the river had been only seconds earlier, there was now a wide, dry path. The crowd stood speechless. "What just happened?" someone whispered. Before anyone could speak again, an even bigger surprise appeared. The golden apples began turning into ordinary apples. The silver peaches became normal peaches. The sparkling flowers lost every jewel until they looked like simple wildflowers. Within moments, every piece of magical treasure had disappeared. The people rubbed their eyes in disbelief. One man sighed. "So, none of it was real?" Samuel smiled quietly but said nothing. King Andrew stepped forward with a serious look on his face. "I think," he said gently, It's finally time I told you why I invited you here." Everyone held their breath. The crowd gathered around the king, still confused and soaking wet. No one spoke. The laughter was gone. The excitement was gone. Even the people who had bragged the loudest earlier now looked down in embarrassment. Daniel stood peacefully near the front, smiling exactly as he had when the day began. King Andrew took a deep breath. "The real test," he began, "was never about the treasure." The entire crowd fell silent. What secret lesson was the king trying to teach his people, and why was Daniel the only one who passed the test? King Andrew looked at every face in the crowd. A few hours earlier, those same faces had been full of excitement. Now they looked tired, embarrassed, and disappointed. The king spoke gently. "My dear friends, yesterday every one of you told me you already had enough to live a happy life. Today, the moment you saw treasure, many of you threw away perfectly good fruit just to collect more wealth. I wanted to know if your happiness truly came from your hearts or from what you owned." Everyone lowered their heads. A deep silence filled the garden. Finally, an elderly farmer stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said, "I thought I was content, but when I saw the golden fruit, I forgot everything I had at home. I even threw away the fresh apples I planned to take to my grandchildren. I let greed control me." One by one, others admitted the same mistake. A baker said, "I forgot how lucky I already was." A teacher added, "I wanted more, even though I didn't need it." King Andrew nodded kindly. "Making a mistake doesn't make someone a bad person," he said. "Refusing to learn from it does." The people looked at one another and slowly smiled. They realized the king wasn't trying to punish them. He was trying to teach them. Then Samuel invited Daniel to stand beside the king. "My friend," Samuel said, "everyone else filled their bags with treasure. Why didn't you?" Daniel smiled. "I came here expecting a beautiful walk, not a fortune." He continued, "The fresh fruit smelled wonderful, so I picked enough for my daughter Lily. I wanted to see her smile when she tasted them. That was worth more to me than a backpack full of gold." The crowd listened carefully. Samuel asked another question. "Weren't you upset when you had to leave your backpack behind?" Daniel laughed softly. "Of course not." He pointed toward the garden. "I enjoyed the singing birds, the colorful flowers, the tall trees, and the peaceful walk. Those memories are still with me. Nobody can wash them away in a river." The people began whispering to one another. His simple words touched every heart. Just then, King Andrew smiled and clapped his hands. The palace gates opened. To everyone's surprise, dozens of gardeners walked into the garden carrying baskets. Inside were fresh apples, peaches, grapes, strawberries, flowers, and young fruit trees. The king announced, "Today, every family will receive fresh fruit, flower seeds, and a young fruit tree to plant at home." Real treasure is something that grows, feeds others, and can be shared, not something hidden away because of greed. The crowd burst into joyful applause. Then came one last surprise. Samuel stepped forward holding a small wooden box. Inside was a simple silver leaf-shaped medal. He placed it around Daniel's neck. "This is the Heart of Greenwood Award," Samuel announced. "It is not given to the richest person. It is given to the person who shows wisdom, gratitude, and kindness." The crowd cheered louder than ever. For the first time that day, they realized that character was worth more than gold. As everyone prepared to leave, children laughed while carrying little fruit trees home. Parents promised to waste less and be more thankful. The baker shared fresh bread with neighbors. The farmer gave baskets of apples to families in need. Even the businessmen who had once chased golden apples donated money to build a new playground for the town. The lesson had already begun changing lives. That evening, Grandma Rose finished her story. Emma smiled from ear to ear. "I thought the king's treasure would be the best part," she said, "but Daniel was the real treasure." Lucas laughed. "And that man who tried to float across the river on a log, I still can't stop thinking about him." Grandma Rose chuckled. Sometimes the funniest moments help us remember the biggest lessons. Grandma Rose looked at both children and said, "Always remember this. Money, gold, and expensive things may make you excited for a little while, but they cannot buy a peaceful heart. The happiest people are not the ones who have the most. They are the ones who are thankful for what they already have, who share with others, and who choose kindness over greed. Emma and Lucas nodded with bright smiles. As the sun slowly set behind the hills, they ran outside to help Grandma plant a tiny apple tree in the backyard. Years later, that tree grew tall and gave sweet fruit every season. A gentle reminder that the greatest treasures in life are the ones we grow with love, gratitude, and generosity. Moral of the story: greed may fill your hands for a moment, but gratitude, kindness, and contentment will fill your heart for a lifetime. True wealth is measured not by what you own, but by the good you share with others.
Thank you for watching. We're so glad you're here. Like, share, subscribe, and spread the cheer. Join the POPZARI family.